In a world where wealth often comes from inheritance, privilege, or old money, there exists a rare category of individuals who began with absolutely nothing. No safety net, no inherited empires, no guaranteed ladder out of poverty. And yet, through a mix of grit, obsession, madness, vision, and sometimes pure survival instinct, they built fortunes that touched the billions. These aren't just business stories. These are human stories. Stories of people who refuse to be defined by where they started. Here are 10 billionaires who rose from nothing and carved their names into history. Think about Elon Musk for a moment. Today, his net worth hovers around a mind-bending $500 billion. The first person ever reported to reach the $500 billion mark. But rewind the tape. This was the kid bullied in school. The kid who coded his own video game for $500 just to scrape by. The college student who slept on office floors, showered at the YMCA, and cold called investors until someone would listen. He didn't start wealthy. He didn't even start comfortably. He simply refused to stay small. Whether you adore him or criticize him, it's hard to ignore the fact that there has never been another billionaire quite like him. Someone who went from nothing to rewriting multiple industries at once. And then there's Ingvar Kamprad, the founder of IKEA. His story is almost mythical in its simplicity. As a young boy in rural Sweden, he sold matches door to door just to make pocket money. No one could have predicted that the same boy would one day build one of the world's largest furniture empires. An empire so massive that even years after his passing, estimates still place his fortune near $12 billion. Kamprad never pretended to be fancy or elite. He famously lived frugally, flew economy, and kept a pencil tucked behind his ear like he was still taking inventory in a village store. He proved that sometimes the greatest empires start with the smallest products in the smallest towns. Ralph Lauren, the man whose name became synonymous with American luxury, didn't grow up in luxury at all. He was born to immigrant parents in the Bronx, worked odd jobs, and dreamed of a world far beyond the neighborhood he lived in. He started by selling ties, literally just ties, because that was all he could afford to produce. From a single piece of fabric, he built a global lifestyle brand worth over $11 billion. That's the magic of vision. When you can see a world that hasn't been built yet, and you believe in it enough to pull it out of your imagination and into reality. Roman Abramovich's journey is something out of a movie. Gritty, uncertain, and almost unbelievable. A child who lost both parents before he turned 4, raised by relatives, surviving on whatever he could find. He went from selling plastic toys to navigating the turbulent chaos of post-Soviet business. His current net worth fluctuates wildly, often shielded and impossible to pinpoint publicly. But the path he walked is undeniable. He climbed from the absolute bottom to become one of the world's most influential billionaires. A reminder that sometimes the harshest beginnings produce the strongest survivors. Do Won Chang's story feels like the classic immigrant dream written in real time. Arriving in the US with almost nothing, he worked 3 jobs: gas station, janitor, and coffee shop, just to stay afloat. He slept little, hustled endlessly, saved every penny. And from those pennies came Forever 21. A retail empire that at its peak reshaped fast fashion. Despite its ups and downs, the Chang family still sits on a combined net worth of over $1.6 billion. It wasn't strategy that built the empire. It was exhaustion, determination, and a refusal to accept defeat. John Paul DeJoria's journey might be the most cinematic of all. He was homeless twice. He slept in his car. He sold shampoo door to door because he had no other choice. But he believed, deeply, that he could build something that mattered. Paul Mitchell was born from that belief. Patron Tequila came later. Today, DeJoria is worth around $3.3 billion. His life is proof that you can be dead broke, pushed out, and dismissed, and still rise again, over and over, until the world can no longer ignore your existence. Larry Ellison, one of the richest people alive, with an estimated $388 billion in 2025, began life with abandonment, adoption, and instability. He dropped out of college twice. He drifted, he wandered, he searched, and eventually he built Oracle, one of the most powerful tech companies on the planet. Ellison's story is a reminder that some of the brightest minds don't fit inside classrooms. Genius doesn't always follow the traditional path. Sometimes it breaks the path entirely. Jack Ma, the English teacher turned global icon, failed more times than most people would ever admit. He was rejected from jobs, rejected from universities, rejected from opportunities that others took for granted. KFC famously rejected him. He was the only one they didn't hire. And yet, that same man built Alibaba, a company that transformed commerce in China and across the world. Even after stepping back from public life, his net worth remains around $30.7 billion. His story tells us, the world can say no to you 1,000 times, but it only takes one yes from yourself to begin something extraordinary. Howard Schultz grew up in public housing, in a family that struggled every single month. He remembers watching his father come home after a workplace injury, hurt, uninsured, angry, helpless. That memory stayed with him. It shaped him. Years later, he took a small Seattle coffee shop and transformed it into Starbucks, a global empire valued in the billions. Schultz himself is worth nearly $1.9 billion, but his legacy is even bigger. He built a company culture designed to give workers what his father never had. His success wasn't just financial, it was emotional, a promise to rewrite his own history. And finally, Oprah Winfrey, perhaps the most extraordinary self-made story on this list. Born into poverty, facing trauma, discrimination, and every imaginable barrier, she shouldn't have made it out of childhood, let alone risen to global influence. But she did. She turned pain into empathy, struggle into strength, and opportunity into empire. Today, with a net worth around $3.1 billion, she stands as one of the most influential women on Earth. Oprah didn't just build wealth, she built hope. She rebuilt herself in front of the entire world. 10 people, 10 lives, 10 stories of impossible beginnings and unimaginable endings. What unites them isn't luck or inheritance or timing, it's hunger, desperation, the quiet, unshakable belief that life could be different, that they could be different. These billionaires prove a simple but powerful truth. Your starting point is not your destiny. Your past is not your limit. And sometimes, the people who come from nothing are the ones who understand the value of everything. If they could rise from the bottom, fight through the noise, break past rejection, and build empires from scraps, then maybe the world isn't as closed as it seems. Maybe the next great story won't come from privilege, but from someone who is reading this, someone who is tired of being underestimated, someone who refuses to stay where life placed them. After all, every empire begins with a moment, a decision, a spark. And history has proven again and again, even those who start with nothing can one day change everything.